Good evening, everyone.
Lucas.
Hey.
Hey, Lucas. Welcome
hey.
back.
It's good to be back, I suppose. No, it's great to see you guys. I'm feeling better. Bossy had a nice little talk with me right after his match. He got freed. He's freed of Atiba, so he basically slapped some sense into me and said, look, if I can overcome everything I've had to overcome, so can you. And so I'm going to try my best to get through all this crap, and it's good to be back, guys.
Well,
it's good to have you back, Lucas.
I was about to say, good to have you back. I'm glad you're in one piece after your second kidnapping in as many months.
Yeah, it's still kind of traumatizing. I'm not gonna lie. It still messes with me mentally, but I'm gonna do my best to get through it and try to be somewhat coherent. I know Derek Stone, even Derek Stone, can you imagine, is having a hard time with me. So that should say something. So I'm gonna do my best for you guys.
Yeah, let's keep you away from the involuntary vacations for a while.
Facts. How's it going, RMP faithful? How we all doing tonight? What's up, Jen, Queen, Jet, the usuals here? How we doing? We also want to give a couple of shout outs for RMP supporters. I think they became supporters during the showing of Charge tonight. Rob Johnson and John Kaspersky. Let's
give a special shout out to Rob. Yeah, they're hard. Let's give a special shout out to Rob. He's going through a lot of stuff. Just lost his father, so our hearts go out to Rob, and glad that he's trying to make the best of it with us here at RMP.
Absolutely, condolences from the dudes and belts to you, Rob.
Absolutely.
All right. Actually, you know what? We'll wait till after the intros. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Dudes and Belts Recharge Post Show here on Twitch. I am your host, Johnny Deathdrop, as always, and what a banger of a supercharge did we have tonight. That's for sure. Lots of action in this episode. Before we break it down for you, let's introduce the panel for this evening. On the left, we have the one that lives way up there on the East Coast in Maine, the inventor of the Beacon of the Week, the one and only Coastal Crusader.
What is going on, everybody? I got my Balaam Link shirt on. He wasn't on there tonight, but we did get to see a hell of a main event with a very surprising outcome that I don't know if that wasn't the plan all along, but we'll get there.
And making his return, I do believe it's been roughly a month for Lucas Bradwell over here. He is the voice of Ignition and the RMP encyclopedia himself, the one and only Lucas.
I've lost track. I don't even keep track of time anymore. It doesn't really mean anything. But yeah, I'm glad to be here. I was even on charge, so it's a big deal when I'm on charge. So unfortunately, I didn't stay the whole show. Carson Drake decided that he was going to take over, but it was great to see the boss get freed, and I know we're going to talk more about that, so let's get to it.
We're going to be talking about boss extensively this week. As you all know, on Ignition, he does have a big Ignition Championship match coming up, so we'll be talking about the final boss quite a bit this week, that's for sure. Before we dig deep into this episode, I was watching the episode and I was paying attention to chat quite a bit. And I think Jet brought up a couple of points towards the end of the show. Let's just make everything perfectly clear. All of these tapings that you were watching going into Peak of the Pack was pre-taped before the rule changes went into effect on Ignition. So the only rule change for these episodes of Charged was the fact that if you are the champion and you get yourself disqualified, you lose the belt. That is the only rule change on these sets of tapings for Charge. However, after Peak of the Pack and during Peak of the Pack, those rule changes that you have been seeing on Ignition will be in effect. going forward. Am I correct, Lucas?
That's right. We are going to be completely under the new rule system. Both shows, every event from here on out, as of peak of the pack. That is correct.
All right. Now that we got that out of the way, let's dive deep into this episode because it was an action-packed episode, as we saw. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get right down into it. First match right out of the gate was the Be Freed or Fire match between Atiba and Bruce Wayans. Whoever wants to start can go right ahead.
I will go ahead and start. And this was an incredible match. This was absolutely belonged on Supercharged. It belonged on a pay-per-view. Bossy never ceases to amaze me, and he does step up here. And this is the first time I think that we've seen this boss since he lost to David Drake way back at Shocktober. He was keyed up tonight. He was ready. He took an onslaught from Atiba with strikes, and Atiba really used everything in Atiba's toolbox to try and get this win, but he couldn't. When he did try and go for the high fly, Bruce at the end, he did catch him. He put him in a big batarang. He's free. Lucas, I think what the most important thing about this match is not only does it free Bruce from Atiba moving forward, it especially frees him up on Thursday night with that big Ignition Championship match against Zamore coming up. And hopefully he won't have to worry about Atiba sticking his nose in.
Yeah, you would think, but we know this brand of Atiba, and we know that he probably isn't going to take this loss lying down.
As we saw after the match.
Yeah, well, yeah, he was very violent. We saw him take that headband, and it looked like he got Bruce off the ground with that band. It was just an amazing display of aggression out of Atiba after that. I think he enjoyed having that control over the boss. I really do, and I think now. He's going to have to find something else to kind of keep him going. As far as the boss, you're right. Now he's got this Ignition title match. He doesn't have to worry about Atiba as far as, Atiba trying to take the match over or anything. But now he's got to worry about Atiba trying to get retribution. So he's got another set of problems. But I think I would take my chances with Bruce Wayne's now being in for himself and not having to worry about doing Atiba's dirty work.
Yeah, and I mean, let's face it, this was the first thing Atiba had won in a while, was the rights to govern over Bruce Wayne's and tell him what to do. And now he's lost that. So again, there's no championship for Atiba. He's not really in the running for any of the championships, really. And now he doesn't even have that power over Bruce anymore. So he's back to square one.
Although we saw at the end of this match, I don't think Atiba's going to let this go lightly. That's for sure.
No, but
we'll see what happens.
I'm a little worried that the Ignition main event is going to be is going to have some shenanigans by Atiba. I'm sure he's going to try to interject himself somehow. But I think the good thing is that this new Zamore that we've seen might not put up with it either. So I think that'll be something that Atiba might have to deal with.
It's definitely going to be something to watch, but Zamore has to be careful, especially if you have more than just your opponent out there in the arena, because if that outside interference ends up going after Bruce, let's say, and Zamore had nothing to do with it, that gets Zamore disqualified, and he loses that belt.
Mm-hmm.
So Zamore is going to have to be really careful on Thursday if there is any shenanigans. But that's all wait and see until Thursday. We still have a lot to talk about here. And going forward here, one of the strangest things I've seen in a while. Lola and Preston get into the ring, getting ready to plead the case for Lola's #1 contendership for the Luck Edge title. And the whole exchange with El Presidente, Danger Dean, and Preston was priceless. Coastal, why don't you shed some light on a little bit more of what we saw tonight?
I really, really like how Dean has worked Preston completely. He has made Preston jump through every single hoop that he wanted to. Now, maybe Dean is a very smart man, and Dean knows that both La Isla and JK Pop matches and Lola and JC matches are money matches in RMP. They're both are great matches. So he was probably going to set these up at some point anyways, just to, see them again because we all want to. But it was nice that he made Preston jump through some hoops and stay up days on end, as he said. He hasn't slept in days and put together this giant case. And he gets ready to argue it, and Dean's like, yeah, cool, you win. It was priceless, the look on Preston's face. And you know what? Lola's happy, and that's all that matters, is Lola's happy too. She is competitor uno.
She #1.
Uno.
Lucas, your thoughts?
Yeah, I asked Dean. I was like, so just like that, and he kind of gave me the nod. I believe that he knew what he was going to do for quite some time. I believe he kind of knew. I think he liked making Preston sweat. I think he liked making Preston nervous. I think he gets a kick out of it, which I'm sure we all do. I know I enjoy watching Preston act like a little weasel. But I think he made the right decision. I think this was something, Lola has really worked hard, regardless of, if we like the decision that she went to the law office. She's worked really hard to get to where she's at. She's had some big victories, and I think that this was the right decision. Do you believe this was the right decision, Coastal?
I do, honestly. I do. I want to see Lola in a one-on-one match with JC. I mean, good luck to you. JC's really unstoppable, incredible right now. But we've seen Lola overcome giant odds before, and she has the law office there. That's not always a bad thing in matches.
For anybody who's new that hasn't seen Aces Wild yet back in January, this all stemmed from when Lola won the #1 contendership during the pre-show and ended up having to use that #1 contendership in a triple threat match when it was originally supposed to be a one-on-one. So,
Uno versus uno.
So in this situation, it's completely understandable, and I think it is the right decision to finally have Lola get that one-on-one match for the Luck Edge Championship. Unfortunately, it's against JC, but at the same time, like Coastal said, she's overcome some obstacles in the past year and a half, and pulled up some amazing upset wins. Let's not forget about that. And like I said,
maybe having the law office out there won't be so bad when the asylum's on the other side.
All right. From the highest of highs in Lola's case to the lowest of lows with Damon Ace. Damon Ace comes out, gets in the ring, says his piece, and out comes Yaden. And out of nowhere, we have an impromptu match between Damon Ace and Mercury Yaden. Go right ahead, sir.
Yeah, no, I really thought this match was going to be over quickly because Yaden just came out of the gates going. And it actually was detrimental to him because he kind of made a couple mistakes and got caught by Damon and allowed Damon to get in some offense. There wasn't much technical wrestling in this match. This was fists, feet, headbutts, and just power moves. Really, Yaden is a great technical wrestler. We know that. He's an amazing coach. But this was a fight through and through. Yaden's on a bad wheel as it is, so he's already at a disadvantage. And going up against Damon Ace when you're wounded is not a great idea, but Yaden running on pure adrenaline gets it done. And the way he gets it done is what we've seen out of Yaden a couple times is that flash knee, and just I think he knocked Damon out. And you don't get to say that very often, but he knocked Damon out. He got a 3 count. Then he looks Damon square in the face and says, "It's over." Now, I do remember Damon last week saying it's over when he says it's over. Lucas, is it over?
If it's over in Mercury Yaden's eyes, I think at this point, I don't know what more Damon Ace can do. He has done absolutely everything. He's, taken cheap shots. He's goaded Yaden into thinking that it was squashed, and then he's done just about everything possible. And Yaden still has managed to get the best of him. I think there's got to be a time, and I know that Damon Ace is a proud man, but there's got to be a time where you just say, you know what? Some people just have your number. Some people just, no matter how big and strong and bad you are, that there's just, some people that just are always one step ahead. And I think this is the case with Mercury Yaden. I think that he has figured out Damon Ace like no one else ever has. And it's probably eating at Damon Ace, but I think eventually he's going to have to swallow that pill and realize what more can I do. I think essentially it's over, whether Damon Ace wants to admit it or not.
Damon Ace's last victory of note was against Bruce Wayans to get the right to rematch Yaden. Damon, that was his last pay-per-view win as well.
He was virtually unstoppable in pay-per-views for a good year and a half.
Since Milestone, he has one pay-per-view win. One.
That's not getting it done.
That's why I think it's time for him to move on. I think his obsession with Mercury Yaden has hurt him, and I believe that he's kind of lost focus on what he truly wants. I think what he truly wants is to be on top of Rocky Mountain Pro. And what does that mean? That means being the R&P champion. And so I think he has to refocus. But whether or not he's willing to move on from Mercury Yaden, we'll have to find that out.
Definitely anything can happen. We have Peak of the Pack coming up in just a few short weeks. He could easily find himself in that number one contendership. We still have that Peak of the Pack match that I don't think anybody has talked about yet.
Well, I mean, the first year, Johnny, correct me if I'm wrong, the first year, Peak of the Pack was random draw tag teams.
Correct.
Could you imagine if Yaden, a winner of Peak of the Pack last year,
it was random draw last year, too.
That got put together? I thought captains picked last year because I thought Yaden picked Cole and Cole no-showed him.
Danger Dean drew.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a Danger Dean draw. That's correct.
Okay. Well, I mean, randomly, could you imagine if they got paired together?
I mean, either way, if that was the case, Damon hopes for that situation. Because then once they're the final team, they go one-on-one again.
Mm-hmm.
For that number one contendership shot.
Together. That's a scary thought, them working together to fight each other.
It's true. They would have to.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see what happens. Moving on here, we have a tag team elimination match as well. We have Brett Buffshay and Gino Rivera going up against your Ignition champion, Zamore, and Nathan Estrada. And we'll talk about Nathan and Gino later on in the show, but what's your thoughts on this match?
This was really kind of, I don't want to say a handicap match, but it kind of was, because poor Nathan Estrada kind of gets jumped in the beginning. He gets in there, but he is, number one, he's not a tag team wrestler. Gino has a big XP bar. He's worked with Brett Buffshay before. They are a cohesive unit. We know that Brett was supposed to be the mystery partner when Nathan took his spot when he couldn't make it. And he kind of just gets jumped. He gets knocked out of this match pretty quickly. Gino takes him out with a big frog splash for the pin. And then all of a sudden, Gino and Brett think they've actually won the match. They forget it is a elimination match. And Zamore, I'll tell you what, if Gino Rivera is the Frank Sinatra of the Spanish Mafia, He is now the Spanish stain on the mat of RMP that since Zamora got done with him because he squashed him like a bug. And he got rid of him. And then something funny happens, Lucas. Your buddy Derek Stone shows up out of nowhere with Maxine and proceeds to sweep Gino out of the ring. And Brett Buffshane's none too happy about this. Takes Maxine. How dare he put his hands on Maxine, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Coastal Crusader does not condone putting your hands on another man's woman. And Maxine is Derek Stone's significant other. You do not do that. Then uses Maxine to hit Zamora and gets disqualified. Zamora walks out with the win. Lucas, what was Derek doing?
Derek was doing what he thought was his duty, and that was keeping the Wimmer Arena clean, and also taking Maxine on a little stroll, a little walk, and kind of nice, and in his eyes, he wasn't doing anything wrong. And,
I know Maxine's a big Zamora fan, so I guess he wanted to get up close and personal.
Maxine is a big Zamora fan, and Maxine's not a fan of Brett Buffshay and Gino Rivera. That's why she kind of wanted to get rid of him. So very ungentlemanlike of Brett Buffshay to do that to Maxine, but Derek Stone doesn't put up with that and clocks him with a big left hand, which I enjoyed seeing. So all in all, Derek Stone is just being Derek Stone, and I say let him be. He's earned that right, and I'm glad that he got a little revenge on Brett Buffshay for that.
Johnny, up here in New England, we once had a left fielder in Boston named Manny Ramirez, and the joke was Manny being Manny because he did some weird stuff. Well, in RMP, you got Derek being Derek.
Yeah.
And you just gotta let him be Derek. I'm gonna let him be Derek. Hell, he's let me be Lucas for the last few weeks. So
yeah, why don't you tell Lord Mitchell Taylor that?
Well, Lord Mitchell Taylor.
If you can get an audience with his lordship.
Yeah, I know you've got to go through all kinds of channels for that.
Derek being Derek. I think that's going to be the new slogan here for the next few weeks.
Yeah,
especially on Ignition. RMP faithful in chat. Make sure you start putting that during Ignitions. Derek being Derek.
Derek being Derek.
That's all. That's going to be the new hashtag for the next couple weeks.
Yeah.
Boy, if he didn't like us before.
Yep. There it is now.
Maxine's going to be a busy girl, I think, on Thursday as well.
Maxine merchandise. I think we need a Maxine shirt.
Yes.
That's true.
Actually, you know what? Derek Stone should sell autographed Maxine 8x10s. Probably outsell his merch.
Oof. Anyways, we need to move on here. Still a lot to go over. We got a couple packages we got to talk about. One that is freaky as hell and one that is just straight to the point. Sledge obviously had a huge match later on this evening in the main event for the RMP Championship against Drake. Sledge had some few choice words, and I'll actually let Lucas kind of elaborate on actually the next couple.
Yeah, so he basically told David Drake, that I'm not scared of anything because I've been dealing with the boogeyman since I was a kid. He told a story about his dad, telling him, about the boogeyman being under his bed, and basically told him that's real life. You're always dealing with the boogeyman, and you've got to face it. And I think that was very poignant, what he said. And it almost kind of made me think about kind of what I've been dealing with David Drake, and that you can't let him get to you like that. And boy, did Sledge. I think Sledge meant every single word that he said, as we saw later on in the main event. So yeah, it was basically a clear message that you are not going to intimidate me, Sledge or Drake. I'm actually going to be the aggressor. I mean, that was the message I got.
Yeah, I know two things after that promo by Sledge. One is Sledge is not scared of anything in this world. And 2, the boogeyman checks under his bed for Sledge at night.
And we go off of that to something even more freaky. Speaking of boogeyman, Lilith and the therapist and that interaction.
Lucas, don't go to that therapist. If you're going to
no, that's not the that's not the therapist I go to. No,
I would not recommend that.
I think we pretty much learned something about that therapist though tonight, didn't we?
We learned a lot.
I think we learned a lot about Lilith's intentions as well.
That too. I think I think we've learned that this therapist, which I think we all should have known already, but this therapist was obviously working under the asylum, working under Salem Wolf, was a plant, if that's the proper word for it, to get to Lilith Grimm. Did it work though, Coastal? It kind of looked like it did.
Did it work? Yes. Did it work out how Salem thought it would? No. And the reason I say that is because the demon is awoken in Lilith. As much as Lilith may not want to admit it, she took out her aggression with the demon persona. I know it was edited to be that way, but that's really a strong emotion of what that was. That was her old self, her uncontrolled, unbridled rage coming through and just laying that. I would say that poor therapist, but he kind of had it coming. Right, I mean, his mouth is bloodied. Lilith has blood all over her hand. And here's why I don't think it worked the way it did. Because she looked like she controlled it pretty well. She stopped when she wanted to, and she knew what she was doing. So if Salem wanted to unlock the demon again, congratulations, you won. But I don't think you can control it like you've controlled everything else in every scenario you've been in, Salem. You cannot control this. That's Salem's whole MO. Control. He sets the scenario. He's a lot like Jigsaw in the Saw movies, Lucas. He sets the scenario and makes you make the choice. I think Lilith's done letting people make choices for her.
Yeah, I think she's finally ready to control her own, control what's around her, control her own environment. I think she's finally ready to embrace that. But at the same time, the laughter coming out of that therapist as he's laying on the ground bloody, that still is kind of menacing. I know that's what Lilith Grimm wanted. She wanted to, finally get the best of this therapist. I think she's kind of had a bad feeling about him for a while. But the fact that he was laughing about it, I think they got what they wanted. So now we're going to see if it works out the way they intended to.
Only time will tell. I say that quite a bit about this story between Lilith Grimm and the asylum.
I said it a month ago, Johnny. That dude was working for Salem.
You did. You definitely called it. There's one problem here, is that Lilith was the demon before the asylum was even a thing.
Yeah.
So she's been doing this iteration of Lilith for a while before she became before she became the Warhammer. All right. Can she control it? We don't know. We haven't seen Lilith pull out the demon out of nowhere. This is a new experience for her. We knew that there was always the demon inside of her, but she's never before had to dig deep to pull it out, to use it in such a way.
Which is scarier, Johnny? If she can control it or she can't? I think if she can, it's scarier.
I agree, but to Lucas's point, I think the whole point of that therapist was just to get it out. Where the demon goes or where Lilith goes from here, only time will tell. But I get both sides of your points. And I think in this situation, Only time will tell. We're nearing peak of the pack. I'm sure there's going to be some type of confrontation at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have to see where that goes. Honestly, I think this could be a relief for Lilith. Not having to fight to keep that demon inside of her now. Maybe this is a good thing for her to just let it out. And maybe it's a one-time thing. The only thing that she might have to fight the asylum, considering every person that she's come in contact with to try and help Lilith out against the asylum gets hurt in some way, shape, or form and is unable to help her. Maybe this is the last straw. Maybe this is the Hail Mary pass that Lilith has to throw. So we'll see. Moving on here, we have a mixed tag team match in a way, I should say.
This is a mixed fight.
We have Manny Lemons and Skylar Slice going up against Cash Flow and Malaya Hosaka in a good old-fashioned Colorado street fight, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, this looked like, 4 blocks down from Coors Field on a Friday night around Bierstadt at about midnight is what it looked like to me. Just, I don't know if Malaya Hosaka and Skylar Slice spent more than a minute and a half in the ring because they just beat each other all over the outside of the ring, into the guardrails, all over the stairs, and then into the back. They just beat each other up all over the Wimmer. And then the poor people in the front row, I don't know about poor people, but they got their money's worth tonight because Cash Flow and Manny Lemons wound up in somebody's lap, beating the holy hell out of each other. This was a straight up fight. It was what it was marketed at, as a street fight. And Manny, I understand why you wore a t-shirt tonight. I was thinking, man, he's so amped up, he didn't even come out of his shirt like he normally does. Well, that was by design because when you're facing Cash Flow, you do not want any exposed skin on your chest that he can rip off with his hands when he chops you. And by hands, I mean those giant canned hams he has on the end of his arms that when he hits you, it feels like a brick. And I don't ever think that men that big should fly that high because when he landed, I think Manny's soul left his body. Cash Flow got his pound of flesh tonight, Lucas. That man is very scary. I have yet to meet him, and I think if he shakes my hand, he might break it.
He is a very intimidating individual, no doubt about it. I have actually been around Cash Flow, and he is actually a good dude, but don't piss him off. And that's what Manny Lemons did. Manny Lemons pissed off Cash Flow. He's an old school guy, and we know the big old school guys, they will pull out anything. And whether it's going anywhere in the Wimmer Arena and using anything, that's what we saw. And also with Skylar Slice and Malaya Hosaka. Malaya Hosaka has been around the block a time or two, right? Her XP bar and what she has been through in her career as far as fights. I don't think Skylar Slice or Manny Lemons quite knew exactly what they were getting into when they kind of started this feud several weeks ago. They got a first-hand view of what Malaya Hosaka and Cash Flow are capable of, and we saw that on Charge tonight.
Enough said.
Mm-hmm.
Cash Flow was 100% cash money tonight. That's for sure.
Yeah, he was.
Did we see any chops tonight?
One. Yeah, he hit Manny Lemons in the chest, and he zested him quite nicely.
Yeah, I still feel bad for Zamora during that ignition. He took about 25.
Looked like hamburger meat.
That poor bastard. All right, moving on. We said that we were going to talk about Gino and Nathan earlier on in the show. Well, now they have a backstage interaction. Nathan reminding Gino that Nathan and Gino currently have a tag team championship opportunity at Peak of the Pack on April 28th against La Isla. Now, boys, what are your thoughts? Do you think these two can coexist going into Peak of the Pack? Because they're going to have to do something. They're going to have to find a way to get along if they have any shot against the momentum building that La Isla has created ever since winning those tag titles.
I don't think they can get along, Johnny. I don't. I think Gino, very accomplished. Gino Rivera, great in-ring guy. Don't know if he's a tag guy unless he likes you. And there's very few people he likes. And Estrada's not one of those guys. Estrada is better off if he wants to make this work. It's got to be him. And he just kind of has to go with Gino's flow. He's got to stay in the corner and do as Gino tells him to. Is that a great strategy? Absolutely not. Because Nathan Estrada, outstanding young wrestler who's going to be around this game for a long time and is very explosive. And he is kind of, Gino, the reason you won that number one contendership in the first place. Do I think it's going to happen? No, I don't. I think Gino is going to do everything he can to sabotage this to try and further his ego. But I think if they work together, they could give La Isla a hell of a run.
So here's what I know about Gino Rivera, and I've known Gino for quite a long time. He's wrestled all over this region since even before I got into professional wrestling. So we're talking 15 plus years. And he has been able to put some of his professional differences aside with other tag team partners, and he has won multiple tag team titles. This guy has won like close to something like 20 different titles in his career. And so
he is
definitely.
He's currently got like 4 of them, I think.
Yeah, he's got like 4 of them. But yeah, we're talking all over. We're talking tag titles and different different variations of championships and singles titles. So he is one of the most accomplished wrestlers I've ever had the privilege of calling a match for. So I think that if he decides that, you know what, I want to get some Rocky Mountain Pro gold, which he has never held. He's never been a Rocky Mountain Pro champion of any kind. I think he wants to be a Rocky Mountain Pro champion. I think he'll realize, look, this is my best opportunity. If I can work something out with Nathan Estrada, get this kid on the same page with me, which I think ultimately he will do, because he's not going to have a choice. Danger Dean's not going to let him use Brett Buff Shea, because Nathan Estrada was the one who got that number one contender spot with him. So he's going to have to work it out with Nathan Estrada, and I think he will. I think he'll come to his senses and realize, look, we've got a shot. We get on the same page. We can maybe catch lightning in a bottle and knock off La Isla. It's possible. We've seen bigger upsets. So these two are capable. If they can get on the same page, they could make a run.
Is this even feasible against La Isla? Well, considering the run that they've been on.
Nothing's impossible, but it's an uphill battle, that's for sure.
The one thing they've got is they're kind of an unknown tag team together. They've not much tape on them. There isn't much for La Isla to study. Listen, La Isla had, J.K. Pop. They knew everything about J.K. Pop. Knew every little single detail about what J.K. Pop does. They don't know that about Nathan Estrada and Gino Rivera. They know them individually, but as a team, if somehow they can come up with a game plan, they can maybe do something to surprise La Isla. And I'm telling you, Gino is that much of a veteran. He's got more XP than. Well, I take Echo's been around quite a long time, but Balaam is still relatively 3 or 4 years in. He's not got a huge amount of experience, so he can maybe use that coach up Nathan. I'm telling you, they've got a better chance than what most people would think. I really do.
Are any one of you guys preparing to make a prediction that Nathan Estrada and Gino will pull off the upset?
Not at this time.
No.
I'm just saying it's possible. I'm not. I would never do that, but I'm just saying it is a possibility.
All right. moving on to the main event. We'll see what happens on the 28th when La Isla goes up against Gino Rivera and Nathan Estrada for the tag team titles. Main event time. Rocky Mountain Pro Championship on the line. David Drake versus Sledge. We heard Sledge earlier in his intentions. We've seen what David Drake has done. And I know I should name that name very loosely here due to the fact that one of our companions over here had a couple run-ins with him. I'm just going to leave it up to you guys right here because I think what we've seen built up all the way to this moment kind of basically puts the exclamation point on this entire feud between Sledge and David Drake.
Go ahead, Coastal, and then I've got some thoughts, but I'll save those till you kind of put your review on this match.
Yeah, no, I mean, this match was weird in a few different ways. I mean, we've seen David Drake the last few weeks did not really seem like himself. He seems like he's kind of run himself ragged at both ends. And even tonight, he looks scraggly and really gets the tar kicked out of him by Sledge. Sledge does everything he said he was going to do in that promo in the first part of this match. I mean, he is brutal with Drake, just as Drake has been with other people, as Sledge was to him, driving his face mouth first into the turnbuckle cable and stomping him and getting him on the ground and putting him, as CBD put it so eloquently on commentary, even psychos have huevos. And we found out that the guardrail hurts David Drake, as it does every person that sits on it that way. But Sledge was out in the beginning and most of this match, not only to try and win, but to try and end David Drake, end this reign of terror that he has. And I don't know if it was for everybody or this seemed very personal to me. Here's the part where I am starting to think that this was part of David Drake's plan. Is he keeps, he's David Drake. We haven't figured out how to put him down yet. Neither has Sledge. Sledge is so frustrated after everything that has happened to him that he goes over and finds the tool that he has been on the other end of so many times, that lead pipe. And he just wants to, for lack of a better term, put down David Drake. And he sacrifices the shot at the Rocky Mountain Pro title. Just to get his redemption, his pound of flesh, and hits David Drake with this pipe and gets disqualified. Here is why I think this is a plan. Is David Drake is laughing that he drove Sledge to a point where it cost him everything he had worked for since he'd come back. I'm not so sure if the most dangerous thing about being in conflict with David Drake and being in the ring isn't necessarily physical as much as it is mental. This man will drive you to absolute mental limits that you're not ready for. Bruce Wayans, now Sledge, poor Lucas. I mean, I'd say his offense is unorthodox, but it's not unorthodox at all. It's just out of this world crazy. But David Drake is either a genius or absolutely insane, and I don't know which one it is, and that's terrifying. And then Sledge, as we see, mentally just snaps, attacks Dewey, and then attacks Yaden. And the whole time, David Drake is laughing. David Drake is messed up. Extremely messed up.
Right,
yeah.
Lucas.
I've had some time to think about this, and what David Drake does is he brings out the worst in someone mentally. That he brings out, and it's different for everyone. See, Sledge had worked so hard to kind of change his life, right? He worked so hard to, be this mentally strong person and very kind of almost a rebirth, so to speak. You know, he changed his body, changed his lifestyle, just changed everything. And Drake pushed him back to a sadistic sledge that can't control himself, that can't, can't regulate what he's doing in the ring. And that's what Drake wanted to do. Drake has pushed me with, what he's done to put me out of my mind where I don't even know where I am half the time. And I'm I don't even take care of myself. And I've, it's taken everything that I have just to be here and to, try to be coherent. It's what he does. It's what he takes pleasure in. He takes absolute pleasure in bringing out the worst out of people. It's something that is both genius because it's worked to his advantage, and it's also sadistic and insane at the same time. And I hope to God that someone will finally have a game plan to counteract that. And it's going to take more than physical game planning when you go up against David Drake. It's going to take more than that, because we saw tonight physically he got manhandled by Sledge, and it still wasn't enough because Drake had that game plan of bringing out the worst out of David Drake, or out of Sledge. And that's what helped him to retain his title. I know there's a lot of people that aren't going to like how he did it, but he did it. And now, and what we saw between Sledge and Yaden at the end, those two are pretty good friends. They do a Twitch stream and are they get along pretty well. Well, that looks like that's gone out the window. Drake is loving every last second of what he's been doing, every last second of it. And I hope that somebody will learn from this, whoever is next to challenge Drake and figure out what you got to do against this psycho.
There you have it, folks. Drake wins by disqualification. Who would have thought that it would have come to a pipe to the noggin?
Didn't have that on my bingo card.
No. Now, what does this mean for Yaden? Yaden had a busy night tonight. He had an impromptu match against Damon Ace, knocked him out, got the victory against Damon Ace again, then comes back around, helps out Dewey Larson in the ring, and now him and Sledge are having a thing. I don't know. Very, very busy here at Rocky Mountain Pro. That's for sure. Lots of stuff happening. And all of this is happening a few weeks before Peak of the Pack on April 28th at the Wimmer Arena. Besides the tag team match, do we have any other matches that have officially been announced yet?
I'm trying to think here. I believe Carson Drake, has gotten a title shot for the Charge Championship against Remy. I believe
that's right. That was last week, I think.
Yes.
And we now know that Lolo will more than likely face JC.
Yes.
Yeah. Basically, Dean said, you're the number one contender. We know that pretty much every pay-per-view that title is defended. So I would assume that's what that means as well. So looks like we have 3 matches that are set in stone. And then, of course, we'll have the Peak of the Pack match itself, which we don't know the participants of yet.
Are we going to find that out shortly?
I would believe now that we've concluded our supercharged and concluded a lot of unfinished business, that I would think over these next couple weeks you're going to see that all kind of take place. Yes. All
right. So make sure you don't miss an episode of Charge and Ignition the next couple weeks, because I believe one of those shows, or a number of those shows, you will find out the participants for the Peak of the Pack match. Now, I don't know if the rules are going to be the same. So before we get into everything else, before we close out the show, I'm going to let Lucas explain the Peak of the Pack match and what it entails to anybody who's new that has never seen it.
It's kind of I'm trying to kind of compare it to what maybe people have seen in some other, bigger promotions.
What was the was that the WCW one?
I think Lethal Lottery, would that kind of be
Battle Bowl?
Battle Bowl.
There you
That's
go. Battle Bowl.
it.
So yeah,
Battle
similar
Bowl and
to
the
that.
Lethal Lottery. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically what it is we've had it kind of different. In 2 different years, we've had it where the matches or the teams were randomly picked, and last year I believe Dean drew the participants, and so it's teams of 2 in a basically like a how many teams did we have last year? Was it
I think
6
it's been
teams?
8. I think it's been
8
8
teams.
the past 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay,
4
so
start, and then there's eliminations. Yeah.
Yeah, so it starts. We start with 4 teams. Once a team gets eliminated, another one comes in, and once we're down to the final team that is able to survive, those 2 competitors of that team will go one-on-one with each other for
Immediately.
immediately, right as soon as that match is over, they go one-on-one, and the winner of that match gets a title shot, and I believe that's going to be the title shot for Milestone.
So the winner of the Peak of the Pack match, ladies and gentlemen, will be the main event of Milestone 13. And we'll be facing either David Drake or whoever is the RMP championship at that time. Are we expecting David Drake to be defending that title at Peak of the Pack as well, or is he going to hold on to that?
I believe so. I just don't. Who in the hell is going to be it now? I highly doubt it's going to be Sledge. That's to be determined, and who's going to step up and take that challenge. Well, I guess we're going to find out maybe next week on Charged. There's only a couple more weeks left, so who is going to want to take that challenge, though? That's the question.
I have a thought.
Oh boy,
He's in a rut right now. He needs something to motivate him. He's only got 1 pay-per-view win this year. Damon Ace. Damon, you want to reinvigorate yourself? Go get David Drake.
Is he in the right state of mind though for that?
It's Damon.
That's true. I think we all want to see it, regardless of what the outcome is. We all want to see it.
or maybe we see Bruce Wayne's go back into the picture here.
Well, he's got the Ignition title coming up on Thursday, so we'll see.
And he's on a roll. He's on a hell of a roll as of late.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to conclude episode 338 of Rocky Mountain Pro Charge. We get to add this episode to the archives for the rewind in about 1.5 years from now. All right. Final thoughts on the episode, boys.
I think the biggest thing that I want to know, and I can't wait to see about, is Lilith. I really want to see if the demon is something she controls, or if it's something that is going to run roughshod again throughout the Lockettes division and over the Asylum. I'm just very interested.
I guess what I'm most interested in is it truly over between Yaden and Damon Ace? Is it truly over? I know that Yaden says it's over. Does that mean it's over, though? That's what we're going to have to find out. That's what's going to be interesting to me going forward.
And will Nathan Estrada and Gino Rivera find a way to coexist leading into Peak of the Pack in that tag team match? Only one way to find out, and that's to watch Charge every Tuesday night at 6? No, I screwed that up. No, I was right. 6.
6 o'clock Mountain Time.
6 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. Daylight time.
We're daylight time now.
I will get yelled at by Mrs. Fourth Row if I say standing time. So we have
So
that.
what time is it at nighttime?
6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. It's Mountain.
Well, no, it's Mountain Daylight Time. So when is it Mountain?
Oh yeah,
Nighttime?
well, because we still had daylight. If we were Mountain Standard Time, it would be probably dark.
All right.
But
all right. We're just gonna do the daylight time till September, boys. Okay.
The Crusader's confused.
Okay.
He has research to do.
We've been working at this whole time zone thing for the last 2.5 years almost. We're getting there. We're just about there. All right. So we have Charge every Tuesday night, 6 p.m. Mountain Daylight time over here on YouTube. And also this week on Ignition, Bruce Wayans versus Zamore for the Ignition Championship. That is up for grabs. And I do believe next week, if actually, it really doesn't matter. It's either going to be Zamore or Bruce Wayans taking on the Grand Prix winner, Briscoe Crown, in next week's main event. So there's going to be 2 title defenses in the next 2 weeks on Ignition. So you're not going to want to miss those 2. Also, this Sunday, boy, do we got a show for you on Sunday, let me tell you. And
I'm scared.
I would be too. Actually, this episode of Charge goes perfectly into into our interview here. We have our members only live chat this Sunday. So if you're not a member, make sure you're a member for this show. $4.99 will get you that membership and that badge and all those perks. This is one of the perks. You get to interact with any Rocky Mountain Pro talent that we have once a month. This month, somehow, some way, we were able to convince Salem to allow the Marionette Noel on our show this Sunday for a members only live stream and chat. So
I'm going to ask the first question. I'm going to ask them what their plan is for Lilith. First question.
And that's going to go over well.
Yeah, I can tell you that go over
right
like a lead balloon.
Now.
I'm so good at leading off, aren't I, John?
You are. Dates all the way back to Ronin.
That was a good one.
And this is roughly the same type of interview too. So you are all just go for it. Just swing for the fences, buddy.
Woo!
Yeah. As someone who has interviewed WWE Hall of Famers, let me give you a little bit of advice, Coastal. Don't lead with that. Please don't.
And there you have it. You should probably take that, actually, to be honest with you. Your track record when it comes to these type of
I just figured we were going to let Triple I do the whole thing by himself on location.
On location? Oh, boy.
Yeah, we were going to put him in the asylum, right? He's on location to do the interview.
Do we even know where the asylum is?
He does.
Does he, though?
He'll find out when the dudes in the white coats and the mask show up to get him.
So that's coming up this Sunday. Don't miss it. It starts at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live at 7 p.m. Daylight. Live at 7 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. Okay? And we don't know what to expect. We're going to be perfectly honest with you. We weren't expecting this to happen. And it just so happened that Salem was gracious to let Noelle out for a couple hours and hang with the dudes. And God only knows what her mind is right now. Especially what happened.
Absolutely would love to go get a beer with Salem sometime. Absolutely.
No.
That sounds like a great time.
No. I think I'd rather have beer flavored, candy flavored beer with the Three Ring Circus than I would with the Asylum.
I'd rather go out to a 3-course meal with Triple I, which is like a 7.5-hour event. So.
You're not wrong. Oh, he is brutal sometimes, folks. Let me tell you. He could be having a taco or something small, and it would take him a half hour, 45 minutes to eat the goddamn thing.
This is no joke. We went to a
Here we go about food.
Place.
It's always food.
Hold on. We went to a bagel place in Aurora. It was the best breakfast I've had. Breakfast sandwich. He got a bagel. That's a big bagel. I'll give him that. It's a big bagel. 45 minutes. I'm not exaggerating. Sunday was there. 45 minutes. Eat breakfast at a bagel. A bagel.
What does he court? Does he court his food first and then try to spoon it and then before he eats it? What is he doing?
Is he one of those guys that has to separate everything and have food not touch each other?
No, because we went to Noodle Company down the road from the Wimmer. And that was a half hour for him to eat a bowl of noodles. Not order, walk in, order, get down, sit down, eat half hour. No. Walk in, order, wait, get our food, half hour.
Remember the time at Denny's, and I think Jeremy was with us?
Yes.
And we were there till 2 or 3 in the morning, and all we heard was him bitching and complaining about how late it was. But when
the best part was he stayed out the night before with Yaden and Stevie, over Easy Stevie. And we were at Denny's, and then the next night, Triple I's like, I'm not staying out till 1 in the morning again. We're like, oh, no, you won't. 2:30.
Well, at 2:30 in the morning, after he's bitching about it being 2:30 in the morning, we finally get his food. You would think that somebody who has been bitching nonstop for about a half hour, 45 minutes, would probably hurry up and finish his meal, because I think he only had a pancake or something.
He got 3 pancakes.
It took him an hour. An hour to finish 3 pancakes at 2:30 in the morning. So we didn't. Was that the second to last night?
Yeah, that was the second to last night. That was right before the Sunday. Yeah, that was before Sunday.
MLB has a pitch clock now, so can a bite clock be put in place for Triple I?
We need a plate clock for Triple I.
We can arrange that at some point. He won't be down this time around, but next time he comes down, we'll probably record next time. Actually, really, the next time that we are in the same restaurant as him, we'll just do it and we'll just record it.
We'll put a clock on for how long it takes him to eat something.
We're not kidding, folks. It's like a full work day for him just to eat a meal. All right. Other than that, I don't think I have anything. There's no live shows coming up, Lucas, within the next couple weeks.
No, we just had a great weekend of live shows, so it won't be until the end of this month. And this also will be the last pay-per-view that will be on a Friday.
That's right.
So we are moving forward. Our pay-per-views are going to be on Thursdays, which we got some big announcements coming up, but that's one of them. Is pay-per-views will be on a Thursday. We're going to have an announcement on our charge tapings, so stay tuned for all that.
All right, do you hear it, folks? It's it's milestone season when there are some big announcements coming down the pipe. What's up, Ace Sways? How's it going? First time I'm seeing you in this chat. What is up? Yeah, and you guys kicked off Ramiro's this past weekend as well, right?
Yeah, this was the first Romero's of the season. Oh, the weather's been actually really good. It was pretty nice. A little chilly this Saturday, but not too bad. But yeah, we're already having 80-degree weather this week, so I think we're good time to start up Romero's, and I will probably be going outside also for Bierstadt as well. So
are you going to be going outside for the charge tapings as well?
Yeah, we might be, because we'll see. I don't know. That's the thing. If we do the charge tapings at Bierstadt, we'll have to figure that out. We'll have to see how that looks on TV.
There you go. All right. Well, other than that, I think we're all set to sign off for the evening, gents.
I think so.
Good to be back, guys. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, good to have you back.
Always, buddy.
And hopefully your nightmare is over.
I hope so. I sleep with one eye open still, but yeah, we're hoping.
Just make sure you see that therapist.
Yeah,
But not Lilith.
Yeah, not Lilith.
Yeah, no.
I've got Dean's got me. Dean's got me on a company one. We'll hopefully this one's a lot better.
Perfect.
It's gonna be Sin Bodhi, isn't it?
Well, pick your poison at that point. Would you rather have Simbodi, or would you rather have and deal with David Drake?
Hey, at least I'd have a good time with Simbodi. I'd be a little crazier than I already am. But...
And Nurse 9.
Yeah, we'd have a good time.
You also have Rhea Rabbit there too.
Yeah, so it wouldn't be all bad.
Yeah.
But yep. It was great to see everyone on chat here tonight too. I see a lot of people wishing me well and good to see me back. So it's good to see you guys as well. So thanks everybody.
And yes, we will be live on Thursday. I promise you, there will be a Reignited on Thursday. So there you go, Lucas. It is official.
I won't be there, but I will be there the week after.
Yes, Coastal is wrapping up his season of his bowling. He will be back full time on Thursdays as well with me and Marky. And he will be able to bring back the Beacon of the Week.
The Beacon of the Week.
There we go.
So we have that to look forward to. So we will be back this Thursday night for Reignited at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. on the mountain side of the country. As always, for myself, Johnny Deathdrop, Ghost of Crusader, and Lucas Bradwell, we thank you guys for watching, and we will see you guys on Thursday for Ignition and Reignited. As always, folks, stay safe, stay classy. We'll see you on the next one. Take care, folks.